what's shaking in the elements.
The most brain-paralyzing shock story of them all.
Electronic hypnosis. It was a way of drugging a man's brain with weird sounds and strange pictures, so that he craved for more and yet more.
The terrible power of hypnosis used for satanic evil. A spell impossible to resist, ending in unspeakable torture.
My goals were to kind of highlight what this genre is, political remix video. It's sort of an emerging genre that doesn't really have a definition that I could find that I liked. And so one was to define it, one was to show highlights of it, another was to try to assess the cultural impacts of what this kind of work does, and then to see how that fits into the larger new media picture and into the way that people are working for social change using new media.
But we've been a community in hiding, really, for 30 years because of copyright and because our vids are kind of arguments about television. There's a lot of feminists talking back to television. There's a lot of queer readings. There's a lot of subverting of the text. And so they were vids that women made for women, and we weren't particularly looking for an audience. But lately, digital culture's really gone mainstream, and we feel like we're the scribbling women of DIY culture. We did the novel first, and then later on the men came and they're sort of saying, oh hey, we remix video, and we feel like we were remixing video for a really long time. A lot of people wanted to stay hidden, and they thought that exposure would be bad for the community, that it would send copyright holders after us. But then a number of us were sort of arguing like we're getting written out of the story as remix culture gets done, and that if we don't show up with our art, nobody will know that we're here. In many ways, the face of DIY video before the dawn of YouTube may not be what you think. You may be picturing some teenager, but you may not be picturing, a 40-year-old woman in a collective of other women making film.
We saw a video by Gil Scott Heron that was called "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised," and we talked about it, and we were able to come up with a spoken word piece. All 12 of us worked on a spoken word piece, and we came up with the lyrics in about an hour. And the next day we did all of the editing and created the entire piece in about 4 hours and presented it that night to our parents and our friends and everybody who came out to see the work that we had done for the last 2 weeks. And so I'm going to introduce the video. It's called "The Revolution Will Be Televised," and we basically called it that because we wanted to show that us as youth are making it like this big revolution, and that we're so involved in media that it will be televised and everybody will be able to see it.
The revolution will be televised. It will not give pop culture a new home. It will not give Anna Nicole paternity tests. It will not give you seizures from pocket monsters. It will not result in nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, or diarrhea. The revolution will contain a solution, but not in the purchase of 409. The revolution will not be censored. It will not be anorexic. The revolution will be fat and happy. The revolution will be televised. The revolution will not plead the fifth. The revolution will be televised by hackers in their mother's basements. The revolution will not be controlled by septuagenarians. The revolution will be televised. The revolution will be YouTube-sized. The revolution will be televised by me.
By me.
By me.
By me. By me.
By me.
By me.
By me.
By me.
By me.
By me.
And me.
My name is David Sasaki, and I'm with Global Voices Online, which is a website that aggregates and collects and editorializes content from all over the world, from blogs, podcasts, any kind of self-published media. We translate a lot of that content that's not in English into English, and then from English into other languages, into Russian, Arabic, Malagasy, which is the language of Madagascar, Spanish, and a lot of others. Global Voices started as this one website where we collected all of this information from other blogs and podcasts from all over the world. We've now got kind of 3 branches of Global Voices. So that website is still our principal focus, but then we also have a Rising Voices program, which is the outreach program. That's what I'm more involved in now. So I'm going around in different countries and giving small grants away to community groups who want to start up new media projects. So now they're starting to blog, they're starting to video blog, they're starting to post audio files, interacting with Web 2.0. And then we also have another side that's Global Voices Advocacy, and that is it's an anti-censorship effort. We've noticed that a lot of bloggers were being censored in the Middle East, in China, were self-censoring and not feeling comfortable with saying what they wanted to say. So Sami Ben-Garbia is a Tunisian activist, a cyber activist. He now lives in The Hague in Holland, and he's running that program. As far as what conversations we're starting to see, what I'm starting to see more on Rising Voices, on this outreach side, is that a lot of people, they start talking just about their lives for the first couple months that they have their video blogs and their podcast. And then once they start feeling more comfortable about just discussing private issues or everyday lives or their neighbors, then they start to get more into the political commentary and more kind of social critiques of what's going on.
We designed it to be an event that was very compelling and important for the people who came, which are the real hardcore, sort of committed folks in this space that are really interested in building bridges across these communities. And that, by its very nature, is a small group of people, particularly for the first year of an event like this. But I think the content we generated is something that I could imagine being useful and used in so many different contexts. So I've talked to faculty who said, oh, you've basically given me a semester's worth of content. And we've talked to multiple groups who would love for us to take the screenings to their host institutions, to frame it, show it, and educate their local communities, their local institutions, and networks, which, you know, it's not realistic to expect that people are going to fly in from around the world to attend an event like this, but what we can do is make the content available for people in all different locations.